Hey everybody, welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal, over there's Joel. We're going to talk
Hello.
about the worst superhero costumes and redesigns. We're going to leave out
Yes.
movies, because that's a whole show unto
As,
itself.
as we discovered in the pre-show, we can actually talk about this quite professionally.
Yes, for quite a while. So instead we're going to talk about just the worst superhero costumes that we've ever seen and that have made certain lists, but the ones really that I'm really looking forward to finding out the ones that we personally are like, I saw this and said no.
It should be interesting.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go down a list of like things that are pretty much by and large gonna largely considered to be some of the worst costumes and redesigns
There's a fair swath of material.
in comic book history. Yeah. So like, let's kick things off, I guess, with the one that I think might be one of the worst costume redesigns I've ever seen for one of my least favorite characters of all time, and that would be Warrior for Guy Gardner.
Ooh, yes. He literally became the ultimate warrior.
Yeah, and like, okay, so I kind of really liked Guy Gardner's Green Lantern design.
It's nice. The vest is a good touch. It makes him different from everyone else.
It's cool, yeah. It's like he goes, listen, I love vests, and I will be damned if I'm going to retire my look just to be a member of this team. No, forget it. I'm going to make
I'm
a Green
unique.
Lantern version of it.
I'm unique as fuck, man.
Yeah,
Forget all
and
these
edgy as
onesies
crap.
that you're all wearing. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they eventually threw that out and he became the Warrior, it was like, oh. And if you have not seen the Warrior,
Go
Google
look at it.
Guy Gardner Warrior, and you'll see it's basically, like Joel said, it's literally the Ultimate Warrior, but it's on Guy Gardner, and he has alien augmented bio suits, like a symbiote, basically, and it.
Yeah, because Guy Gardner had some alien heritage we didn't know about that was awoken.
Yeah, and it could make his body turn into any kind of weapon that he needed for the situation that he was in.
He's Swiss Army man.
That was weak. Not only was
Yeah.
it a weak idea, but just the worst possible redesign.
I loved the glee in which Jeff Johns got rid of all the warrior shit in like Green Lantern Rebirth.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, yeah, the fucking alien shit just blew up inside of him. It killed him and now it's gone now. Now he's just back to being human.
Yep. Oh, and he's also a Green Lantern again.
Yeah. Never ask about the warrior ever again.
Yeah. They were referring to, I remember they were referring to it in the beginning of Rebirth. I was like, of Green Lantern Rebirth, not Rebirth, DC Rebirth. Man, so fun to make jokes about, especially because I hated Guy Gardner. I'm like, I hate Guy Gardner, he's derivative, he's obnoxious, nobody likes writing for him because he's just such a douche. Oh, also, he looks like total crap.
Didn't he have an era there for a little bit where he had Sinestro's yellow ring?
Yes.
And he wore like a Fonzie leather jacket and like blue jeans with the cuffs turned up all the way?
He certainly did. That was the Guy Gardner era. That's the Guy Gardner that I knew. I knew him kind of like post Green Lantern. I read a little bit of Justice League International. I'm like, who's this phony Green Lantern? Get out of here. Then the next time I see him again, he's wearing... It's basically just his vest, but in a jacket form, and instead of it having a lantern logo, it's a G. And by the way, I loved that idea. I loved the idea that he got Sinestro's ring. He's like, you don't want me to be a member of your freaking corps? Well, I'll just
Fine.
steal your bad guy's ring, which back then wasn't part of like a thing. It wasn't like
You
it
didn't
was,
need to be worthy. You didn't need any of this other shit to wield it. You could just pick it up and use it.
Just pick it up and use it, and had like it was rare, but it was not really about fear so much as it was about being yellow.
Yeah.
I loved it. No,
Before they wrote all the rules.
I like Rebel without a cause Guy Gardner,
Lorenzo Lamas, Guy Gardner.
even though he did kind of still look like a chump.
It's the bowl cut. The bowl cut and the G. I love he's so into his own branding where it's like, yeah, G for Guy. That's
For
me.
Guy Gardner. That's right. Somebody just reminded me that he also, of course, had the wonderful bowl cut. And wow.
Which he rocked for a long time. He would lose the bowl cut when he became a Red Lantern. Remember
Yes.
that? He let it grow out into a full-on glorious mullet with like a Hulk Hogan walrus mustache.
Yeah, he got crazy cool hair when he was Warrior, but it's still like nobody goes into the barbershop and goes, "Give me the Otto Octavius."
Give me one of those.
Yeah, forget it.
The bowl was good enough for my father. It will be good enough for me.
Damn, it'll be good enough for me.
Have they ever shown Guy Gardner's father? Because if so, I would love to know if he also had a bowl cut, and that's why he keeps
That's a
doing
good question. I would like to know that.
Because who willingly bowl cuts themselves?
I don't know. When I was a very small child, I rocked the bowl cut, and not by request. If it was under request, I would have gotten the Egon Spengler from the animated series, and would that have been a mistake and a half? At least with the bowl cut, it's like my parents liked this. I had straight hair back then; it would have been fine. But to be like, oh, I look like I have a cannoli on the top of my head, and be like, no, I want to look like Egon Spengler from the animated series with the rat tail and the cannoli. That would have been a friendship-ending experience for me.
As a guy who went to school in northern Canada, which is a lot like the American South, I went to school with many a mullet and many a rat tail kid, and I will say, at least for the rat tail kids, at least they could always just, tuck that under the collar of their shirt. Mullet, not so easy.
Yeah. No. Well, the only thing you could do with the mullet is just put a baseball cap over it.
Oh, well, that's the uniform right there.
Exactly. Hey, isn't there a superhero that has a baseball cap and people keep pretending that's part of his costume?
Oh, yes, you mean a hero who's always offended me for a long time because of this stupid lateral costume change. Yeah, Arsenal, Roy Harper. What the fuck was with the hat? Whose idea was like, you know what he needs? Hat.
Hat. Done. Nailed it. That's
not just any hat, trucker cap.
It's so lazy. It's so stupid. He looks so crappy. And the worst of it isn't just that, like, it sucks. It's that people defend the hat.
I know, that bugs me too, where it's like, guys, he's supposed to be the sidekick of Green Arrow. He should look a little like Green Arrow. Everyone else in the Green Arrow camp has a hood.
Yeah.
Just put a goddamn hood on him, especially because the costume he has now, where it's like he's not even trying to be Red Arrow anymore. It's like, look, I'm Arsenal. There's more black and military stuff in it. Mm-hmm. Literally, if he just had a hood on it, it'd be a great costume. And in fact, I think some people showed me there was concept art floating around of the DC Rebirth design. He was supposed to have a hood, but they doubled down on the hat.
Why? Why do they? I want to look like Adam the Extreme. I want to look like the crappiest 90s composite character of all time. Baseball caps are not a costume, my friend. No matter how badly you want to disguise it, it's a fucking hat.
But here's the thing. Look, people just think the hat was dumb because it was facing this way, so you could see the build at all the time. So it looks like he just rolled out of bed and had to cover up the hat head. What if we just spun the hat around and that will be his new costume?
Yeah.
That fixes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like what? It's like he's going to an intervention where everyone's like, you wear the hat everywhere, it reeks, it's disgusting, it's gross. You went to your father's funeral wearing that baseball cap, you have to take off the hat. All right, how about this? What if I wear it backwards, though? And it's like, no, but why are you wearing it at all?
It's like, literally, it's like, I can imagine Roy Harper used to wear a do-rag, and they're like, no, you can't do that. You can't get away with that. He's like, fine, baseball cap. Then, okay, sure, whatever, compromise.
Yeah.
Like, he wore a far dumber hat, and this was the compromise.
I mean, it has to be it. Just like, he's like, listen, if I don't wear the hat, then I have to wear a giant foam cowboy hat.
Or a big sombrero.
Yeah, either it's going to be I want to look like either Speedy Gonzalez or a douchebag.
No, fedora. He's way into fedoras.
Now,
and the
if he were to wear a fedora, or at the very least, like, it'd be amazing because he's a Titan. It'd be amazing if while he's at the headquarters, they just switch hats every couple of days. It's like, listen, you want to go out and wear your costume, you're gonna have to put on a hat, and the only hat available right now is a yarmulke.
So go for it.
Or a Wendy hat from Gravity Falls, one of those great big Canadian hats, like just something like that. Or a beret, I love the idea of swapping them out.
Every time he puts on a different hat, it changes his personality, like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing a character. If he wore the fedora, he'd have to be like the hello ladies, like the
which he basically is anyway.
No. When was
here's the thing. You know what I would be fine with? If they wrote a story that showed that, like, Roy, because of all his drug use or whatever, is, like, prematurely balding on top.
It's and he's literally like, he's hiding being bald.
I don't want people to know I'm bald. I'm getting a premature bald spot, guys.
Yeah. Then wear a hood. Wear a cowl. I don't know.
Wear nothing. There was a whole era where he did the Hawkeye thing where he just wore nothing on his head.
Right. Just wear a t-shirt with your logo on it. That's a big thing people are doing, man.
It is.
When did he get that hat? Do you know? Like, was it a 90s holdover, or was it just nothing?
No, it's New 52. That was Scott Lobdell's dumb idea.
That's awful. Damn it.
It is.
That is just another indicator that New 52 was not all silver and gold, man.
It's true. And it's funnier still. I remember when James Tynion took over that book, he was at least smart enough. This was only for like an arc, but he was smart enough to take the piss out of the hat.
Yeah.
So like not only would he wear a dumb trucker cap a la Ashton Kutcher, but he would have like stupid slogans, like stupid Larry the Cable Guy shit written on it.
God damn it.
Is at least Tynion would go that far to draw attention to and be like, no, look how stupid the hat is. Also, it was at that point too, Roy Harper got really into wearing like denim cutoffs.
See, now somebody at DC is having a joke.
Yeah.
That is exactly what that is.
When did Roy Harper become a redneck? I missed that secret origin.
I don't know. I mean, they need to start like working that in. Like when Roy Harper, first of all, Roy Harper owns a pickup truck. Secondly,
he does.
Roy Harper also, when he's not like talking to anyone or like at the team, when he's in his car, he is listening to gut bucket, country, southern, redneck rock.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's
this is the new character for him now. This is the new lore.
Yeah, he's a redneck now. The end.
I could literally talk forever about how stupid that hat is for Roy Harper. Just how DC has treated Roy Harper so shittily for so many years. He's doing better now, but the hat still reminds me of all the bad shit.
Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, exactly. Roy Harper keeps trying to work in NASCAR trivia or tidbits in every conversation. Did you catch Earnhardt fucking breaking his car? I don't watch that show. I don't know it.
Hey, Ollie, did you watch the newest NASCAR race? No.
Yeah, no. Well, Roy, I'm not interested in that. Apropos of the New 52 and terrible redesigns, Starfire.
Another Lobdell.
Can we talk about how horribly objectified? The thing about it is, I was trying to go back and like look at other Starfire costumes because I remember having a real when it came out, and you're just like, "What are you doing? Like, why doesn't she just wear nothing?"
Yeah,
and basically. just have fire over her nipples, like just and have like a fiery vagina, and she could just be called Fire Crotch, and it's just and just end it. But like, I went back and looked at all of her costumes, and they're all kind of objectifying. They're all kind of like, no, I got a sweet bod, and I want people to see it. And it's like, first of all, right on. But secondly, what?
It's a little weird. But I mean, at least in like the Wolfman Perez era, she had a character that you could latch onto.
Yeah.
And could like and shit. In the Lobdell era, it's like, here's a horribly objectified costume and a nothing personality and a nothing character because I can't write women to save my life because apparently I have a real problem with women actually in real life.
That's the thing is that when it comes to Starfire, if you can. Like we were just legitimizing Roy Harper's hat by being like, listen, he's a redneck. He's gonna wear the baseball cap. He's gonna have a vest that's made of denim. Like it's gonna be part of his character. He drives a pickup truck, which is also red, and faded. The doors will not match the same color paint as the rest of the car. That kind of thing. At least then you understand that. He occasionally
drinks and drives. Yeah, which is a real thing.
He does in the book. I read it, but with Starfire, it's just like she's hot. And orange. I want to see her boobs, but they won't let me show them, so I'll show as much as I possibly can. By the way, Moad Shali, I'm sorry about the pronunciation, man. That's just how I roll. The worst costume by far was CW's Red Tornado. I didn't look at it. How was it? Was it real bad?
It was pretty ugly is the thing. Like, it's funny, that Supergirl show is actually pretty hit and miss when it comes to costumes. Like, their Banshee is 100% comic accurate, and you're like, wait, what? Why does Banshee look so good? They're like live wires, like, I can kind of see what you were doing. And then you get stuff like their Red Tornado, where it's like, ooh.
Yeah, I've seen it. Okay, I just looked it up. I was like, yeah. I mean, at least he looks like a rusty robot, but it's like, what the crap?
Even their Martians look better. Their Martian Manhunter and their Miss Martian actually look pretty good.
Yes, I've seen their Martian Manhunter. But yeah, Starfire. There's actually there's a trend of, hey, we got to redesign a female character. Let's give her the most objectifying costume possible. And not even like link it with her character. Like, for example,
True.
I saw in a lot of these lists, and a lot of people have said it, Power Girl's OG costume with the boob window, people have a real problem with that costume.
I respectfully disagree, if only because I like Power Girl as a character.
I disagree with the objectification thing. I think that part of it. Here's the thing. It very much is, okay. Like, you don't put a boob window into a female superhero's character costume without saying, I want to look at these boobs through this window.
The boob window is incredibly silly, but let's not forget too, the boob window probably saved her life when they destroyed the original Earth 2 and they only saved her and Huntress from it. It's because they were pretty ladies and artists wanted to continue to draw pretty ladies.
Well, and I remember there being a long-standing, like, kind of running gag within the DC pantheon with the artists, where they're like, hey, I bet I can make her boobs bigger in this issue and no one will notice. And then they just keep making her boobs bigger and bigger.
Or even from the story standpoint, where they would keep joking and retconning and being like, well, what is the origin of the boob window? The one I always kind of liked was like, I used to have a symbol here, but I don't anymore because I don't know what my place in the world is, and it's to show that, I don't know what I am type deal.
No, I like, okay, so let's follow down the rabbit hole a little bit when it comes to Power Girl and her origins, or at least her mental justification for the costume. If it is her being like, I reject the House of L, I reject my origins as Superman, she rips the crest off of her outfit and instead exposes her femininity. Instead, she's like, no, I own the fact that I am a superwoman. That is what I am. And
I think they did that recently in the new Earth 2 book before that finished up. I think they did that because she was Supergirl, but then she ripped off the symbol. I think they did just that.
I kind of dig that, and I can kind of argue the point of it being kind of like pro-feminism and it kind of being like a feminist ideal, even though it also is like we're looking at her boobs. But like, I remember, Amanda Connor's run on Power Girl was very much about her owning that design and her owning her being like, look, I want to wear this. I want to show it off. That's what I'm doing. Like
a good writer-artist duo can make anything acceptable.
I agree with that. So, or at least, well, I'll put an asterisk and almost anything. But
and is the chat saying too, sex positive? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, no, like, listen, I got a great rack and I want folk to see it, or even if I don't want them to see it, like, I want to show off, like, I am a woman. This is how I identify as being a woman. Therefore, here's my window, or here's my symbol.
Exactly, which is the absence of a symbol. There's a lot to unpack with Power Girl. I think she gets unfairly maligned a lot. I think if you actually read some of the better work, they have put some thought into her. She might not have begun as, anything less than pure titillation, but I think she's become something more.
Agreed. But it's funny because there's a trend when it comes to, as we said, female redesigns and female costumes where it's like, I got like either they have a terrible idea or straight up no idea.
It's true. As a perfect example of that, and there's only been a couple handful of times they've redesigned Wonder Woman's costume.
Agreed. When it comes to Wonder Woman, there are more iconic costumes. And when it comes to female superheroes, she is second to none than with Wonder Woman's costume.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like, nah, guys, you hit it out of the park the first time.
Yeah, stop drilling, you hit oil. There's quite a few of those examples in this list. You'll hear me say it again and again. But like, Wonder Woman is one of those where it's like, we nailed it, right? And like, sometimes she'll wear the bikini bottoms and sometimes she'll wear the skirt. But either way, the armor, the exposed shoulders. Sometimes she's got a cape, but most of the time she won't. And the cape is merely decorative. But
I do dig the cape for like fancy formal affairs. She's like, oh, well, I need to wear a cape.
Well, I must wear a cape. Exactly. I'm like, I'm fine with that. But then there's like Wonder Woman from the 70s where she just wore like disco full body suit.
It's because she was a mod. She was running like a clothing store at that time, and she didn't even have powers.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's funny. People talk about like Wonder Woman. She's the only female like superpowered hero for a long time. She was depowered for a surprisingly long period of time.
They basically made her a super spy. They made her Miss Peel, who ran a clothing store by day and had boy troubles.
I guess she was just inspired by, or the creators at the time were inspired by the Avengers show.
Yep.
Which is like, too bad, because I'm one of the few people who was like, Man, the movie was really bad, but the show was really boring. Also, every time I would catch the Avengers, I go, ooh! And then I'd be like, oh, it's not my Avengers, it's the boring British
You
ones.
got excited, then unexcited.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's the mod costume, there's that 90s costume where they were like, give her a jacket.
And hot pants. Hot
pants. Like, just show off those strong Amazonian legs.
And it's like, what are you doing right now? And even right before the New 52, they redesigned her again, where it's like, let's give her a jacket and pants. And I remember that was like a really, like, one of those like internet outrages where it's like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here, guys. Oh my God, they gave her pants. How dare they?
I remember the outrage about the pants and being like really kind of like upset that so many people were against giving her pants.
And in the end, none of it fucking mattered because the New 52 happened and it all got dropped away anyway.
Well, that was her design for the New 52, was jacket and pants. And then they were like, okay, what if we got rid of the pants, but we keep the jacket? And then what if we get rid of the jacket? And then what if we get rid of her entire New 52 origin?
Yeah. One of my favorite holdovers from that is, the original Injustice Gods Among Us video game. That's one of the alternate skins that's in there.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Which made me think where it's like, oh, you can line up the production of this with the production of the New 52, and if they're like, no, we really want to push this new costume.
Yeah, I could believe it.
I mean, I didn't think it looked bad. I thought it definitely made her look a lot older.
Yeah,
for whatever reason. Where it's I'm wearing a sensible jacket and pants.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's chilly. I must wear some kind of decent outfit. But yeah. Did you freeze? Okay, good.
No,
You're still there.
No, I'm still there.
You're just being respectfully quiet. I appear.
No, I was letting you talk.
Thank you. Apropos more DC terrible blunders, can we talk about Booster Gold over to, like, when I was growing up, I always hated Booster Gold's costume. And then Doomsday broke it, and he made me miss it by getting an even worse costume.
Yeah, he's had a couple bad runs, ain't he?
I mean, by the way, being in the middle of rereading 52, I love Booster Gold's old costume.
Oh, it's really nice.
I really do.
Blue and gold works well together.
Yeah, but I always thought it was totally lame. But, like, I gotta tell you, it's the context, it's the character. Booster Gold would wear a costume like that.
Of course he would be loud and abrasive. He's loud and abrasive anyway.
Yeah, but, hey, it's 1997. Let's give him some armor. And don't forget that big dumb star and a silly-ass mask. And, like, what was it with the Gambit mask that everybody was wearing? Where it's like, no, I'm going to put a sock, but just cut out the face. And keep my hair, though. I want my hair poofing out the top like cauliflower.
He was such a trendsetter there, Remy, for a little bit. Now no one wants to dress like him anymore. Not even Gambit dresses like Gambit
He doesn't,
anymore.
But he's the only one who could pull it off. He's the only one no one was like, that's totally lame.
I'm glad you mentioned the armored look, too, because I think that's brought down many heroes in the 90s by, like, let's add a lot of stupid armor to it. Cap had an ugly armor costume.
Captain America's... Well, because... I don't remember if this is the time when Captain America was like, drugs are bad, okay? And apparently the super soldier serum, that's like steroids. So he got it expelled from his body, and he's like, no, I'm just tough. Or if it was the time when, like, he lost it, or it wore the fuck off. And in any case, he was weak, and then I don't remember who made him the suit. I want to say it was Iron Man, but I don't think that's right. But somebody made him like this big stupid Captain America armor. He looked like such a jackass. It didn't last very long, but like it's still a blight on the Captain America costume. That said, the Captain costume is pretty goddamn bad too.
That was pretty bad. It's funny, at least the armor costume, some people have a bit of nostalgia for, because you'll still see Cap's armor costume show up every so often. Like, what was it, in the lead up to the last Secret Wars, him and Iron Man had a fight, and because, like, Steve was all old and shit, he's like, oh, I'm gonna get my armored Captain America costume.
I remember, he died in that armor!
He did!
Now, that is a cool throwback. I think people are a little less nostalgic for that than they are for the energy shield that Steve made for him. Which, by the way, every time it shows up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I go, oh! I'm surprised and delighted it's there.
Works for Coulson, didn't work for Cap.
No, but I've expected to see it in every Avengers movie at some point. I've been like, where's the energy shield? But the fact that Coulson has it, I'm like, I'm good, I'm in.
Coulson is such a fan. He's like, hey, no, this is from issue number 137.
Yeah. Also, it's like it's a shield for and man, the last time he used it was the best. He cut a robot in half. It's fucking awesome.
That was really good.
But yeah, armor is
Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil's shitty armor.
Yeah, I always liked it.
Did you now?
When I was growing up, it came out, I'm like, this looks really cool.
It was 90s-erific, that's for sure.
He's got the sharp that will hurt you shoulder pads. But I always kind of liked it. I was like, it's not too dissimilar from his regular costumes. I think if they got rid of the sharp armor and they just kept it, if it was just black with red accents and it was a black cowl with the red neck thingy, I liked it. I always liked it. I thought it was cool.
Which is more or less kind of what he's rocking now with the hey, we kind of split the difference between the TV show and Daredevil as he stands right now.
When they debuted the Shadowland armor, I'm like, how is this how can you say this is cooler than the Daredevil 90s armor?
At least the 90s armor still comes back every so often. There was a great bit in one of the last issues where Daredevil, he hit his head really hard and he was seeing, different versions of himself. So it's hey, him in yellow, him in the armor, him in the Shadowland black suit. And they were all talking to each other and they all, represented different sides of his personality.
Yeah, I read that issue. It was tight.
Even 1602 Daredevil was there, too, who's the guy just with shit covering his eyes.
That's right. That 1602 is so good.
And Charles Soule did his homework in that. It's just how many alternate versions of Daredevil can I put in here?
Exactly. No, I kind of dug Daredevil's armor. And the little, I thought it was cool. I thought it worked. At least to some degree. I get that here's the thing, it was really weird. If you ever read Fall from Grace or just watch our episode of Back Issues on it.
I did.
It comes out of nowhere, and it's for no reason. There needs to be some kind of reason. I remember when Spider-Man got his steel armor. It was on the cover of the issue. It was a holographic, not holographic, but at least a shiny foil cover, and a holographic as well. I think the holographic web's in the background. He has it for I think maybe 2 pages, and then it gets destroyed, and it's just blow me. That sucks. That's not only did it look stupid, but it also didn't serve any plot point. It was just so that we could say that he had that, probably so they could make the goddamn toy for it.
Oh, probably. Now, as far as armored costume goes, and this might surprise people, you know what I think the dumbest armored costume is?
What?
And it's to a character who arguably already had armor, but they put it in all the wrong places, and they also changed his color scheme.
Yeah.
People forget this suit. But Deathstroke, back, I think, also in the 90s, had an absolutely terrible redesigned suit where it was blue, and he had, trash can lids on him. He looked like a big hobo. Here, check that out. I'm putting it in the chat, and I'm putting it here for people to see so they don't think I'm absolutely crazy.
Yes, he did, and man, did that suck.
It really did, because, again, the Deathstroke suit is pretty perfect, the orange and the black, or sometimes it's orange and light blue, depending on what era we're in.
Yeah, for me, it's funny. I always thought that the Deathstroke suit, when I first saw it as a kid, thought it looked kind of like a mess. I was like, okay, so it's basically just Taskmaster, or it's basically Captain America, but with a Spider-Man mask. And then the more I saw it, the more it grew on me. I kind of dug it, and especially because the history of Deathstroke and how the mystique of Deathstroke and how he works really kind of supersede the costume. It's like Doctor Doom, where it's Doctor Doom's wearing a tunic. Objectively speaking, it's kind of lame. Doom owns it, makes it work. By the way, Aaron Lanatelli says New 52 Green Arrow. Yeah, fuck that one. I don't remember that one.
Which one? He had several. There was the one he had when the books first started, which was literally just, hey, let's do the Green Arrow from Smallville.
Yes.
People remember that, right? That show hasn't been off forever. Let's take away his beard and let's give him some stupid goggles. When you give your character goggles, that's okay, we're out of ideas for stuff to zhuzh this up.
Completely. No, I see it now. I completely remember this character design, and yeah, it's basically just a hodgepodge of a bad idea and what they were doing on the show.
Then they threw that away. Then Jeff Lemire came in and the book got good again.
Yep.
But the costume was literally just, can we kind of put him in what he's wearing right now on the show, but not really?
Yeah, yeah.
And Lemire's like, fuck you, I will split the goddamn difference is what I will do. He'll kind of have his own thing going on, but he will look not dissimilar from the TV show.
Yeah.
Then they threw that away for DCU, and they gave him like a Native American-inspired costume. He had like moccasins and he had like armbands and stuff, which it didn't look bad. He actually had an arrow symbol on his chest for like the first time ever.
Yeah. Man, there's nothing better than just him looking like Robin Hood. I don't like the hood. I would rather him wear the hat. I don't. Yeah, that's for me. That's.
I enjoy the hood, but my favorite stories are him looking just like Robin Hood with the little hat and everything.
I want Errol Flynn Green Arrow. It's
hard to justify the Errol Flynn version, even though I think that's the best version. I thought it was weird too, giving him a bunch of Native American inspired gimmickry, because it's like, dude, you're not even sort of Native American. Roy is sort of Native American.
Yeah, and he's too busy looking like a jackass.
Yeah, and he's too busy looking like a redneck. I guess Ollie was just like, oh, my sidekick doesn't want this cool shit anywhere. I'll take those moccasins. I'll take this band. I'll take everything.
That sucks. Apropos, like, overly complicated and stupid, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it designs, it was such a flash in the pan. It didn't really last that long, but enough for when DC and Marvel crossed over, they had to put it in there and cement it in it forever. Thor's awful 90s Gambit helmet costume when he fought Shazam, and you're like, Thor's finally fighting Shazam, and he looks like a goddamn jackass.
With his armored crop top and too much blue and too much terrible hair.
And his dumb sock face mask and his, and straps. Straps everywhere.
No, but this is so much cooler than the original Lee Kirby design.
Oh, yeah, way better. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. X-Men Orange is Tangerine says, current Spider-Man with those stupid glowing eyes and spider logo. Agreed. No. I hate it. Moving on, but yeah, Thor sucks.
I don't hate that stuff as much as you, but I understand it serves no like actual practical purpose.
No, it is literally cosmetic to the point where it's like, I just want to say we changed it.
It's new for new sake. It actually doesn't add anything. So much to the point other writers make fun of it.
Yeah. Well, like it's as obvious and dumb as the organic webbing. Like, what are you doing? Even in the movie. They're like, he's got it, like, because they're trying to convey that it's like, no, it's advanced technology, power shooting out of it, like, in the movie he wears the exact same kind of suit and it looks like his regular Spider-Man costume. It doesn't have to look like garbage.
Yeah.
But Thor has a history of bad redesigns.
He does.
Honestly, for me, like, because we could talk about Thunderstrike and his ponytail and his
his another 90s horrific creation.
Like, I'm basically Thor, but I also have to wear this cool jacket and jeans. Like it's like Grant Morrison's Action Comic Superman, but it's Thor.
He's so extreme. If they ever said what happened to Thunderstrike, is Thunderstrike dead in continuity? Or
I think he's dead. I don't remember, because if he weren't dead, they would bring him back. Like, he would be here already. Because, like, I think Jason Aaron would have used him.
I think so too. In fact, I'm waiting for Jason Aaron to drop the mic and be like, okay, so you don't like my Jane Foster, all you mouthy people on the internet. Well, guess what? They changed Thor once before this, right?
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to Thunderstrike. You could have him right now.
It's true. I gotta say, Thunderstrike, like, the best Thor redesign that I remember having, during my reading lifetime for Thor, was when he just had a beard. Yeah. Now, that was Eric Masterson Thor, basically just hiding in plain sight, but Thor with a beard, that's cool. That works. Yeah. You want to give him a beard? Cool. In fact, it works. He has
one now.
It works so much. He has it in the MCU forever, and he also has it in the comics right now. So
I think that's a good example of a good redesign. It's like, hey, go a little bit more medieval with my costume, get a little side cape, cut my hair, much like how Hemsworth is going to have it in the new movie, and grow my beard out a little bit.
Oh, I gotta say, no, Quapel's redesign when they did the J. Michael Straczynski Thor, that's like the best redesign you could possibly do for Thor.
That's pretty definitive. That's a pretty good look.
Yeah. But yeah,
I even like Ultimate Thor redesign with like the 6 pauldrons and everything.
Ultimate Thor basically just looks like Thunderstrike.
I know, right? But it's the real Thor though.
Yeah, but it's Thor. We have not yet. I mean, it's been almost 40 minutes. We haven't talked about Batman.
Oh yeah, man, Batman. He's had some good years. He's had some bad years, hasn't he?
And I can't. We could talk about the 40s, and we could talk about like the silly stuff and the Zur-En-Arrh costumes. But let's just stick to the stuff where it's like, no, we have to redesign. The Batman outfit is broken. We have to change it.
How do you feel about the spiky shoulder pauldrons and the ridiculously long ear era?
I always love it, but for me, it's funny. I don't consider it to be a redesign so much as I consider it to be artistic expression. I think that it's more like, this is what Batman looks like, you know, in an idealized form. When Batman's like punching criminals or riding in the Batmobile, you don't normally see the spikes or like, and the ears kind of like get a little bit like lower. I don't think it's much of a redesign as much as it is just an artist being like, and he's got like his cape being 6 miles long. You know, it isn't really that long, but because it's billowing in the wind, and I want to convey motion.
There's another guy who did that. I believe his name was Spawn, who basically took those things and turned them up to 100.
Spawn is one of the best like new designs of the 90s and of the last 10 years, certainly, or of its own decade. Because damn, does Spawn work? Despite the fact that it's literally just, can I get Spider-Man and some chains and a cape? Can I give Spider-Man Thor's cape and just make him have chains? Like, can I put Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, and Thor all in one thing? Oh yeah, I can, and I can sell lots of them.
Can I cheat every so often by just having him be 90% cape? Awesome.
Yeah, and by the way, looks rad. Capullo made his bones just drawing big-ass capes. I mean, like, that's awesome. We wouldn't have the New 52 Batman run without Capullo drawing some badass Spawn capes.
True.
And by the way, Spawn went through some shitty redesigns as well.
Sure did.
First Spawn costume, you stop drilling, you hit oil. Wait, I could take more. Like, how about if I get a big stupid anchor in the form of a spiky boot around one foot? Well, we have to put it over on the other one. Well, no, but then they would rub together. Just one. And how about the cape is torn now? It's tatters. What? Why would it be tattered? Isn't it alive? Fuck you. It's ripped now. And get rid of that really awesome mask you like. How about instead we show your gross hamburger face and you stitched it together using a shoelace? And we'll reference the fact that Batman cut it in half, but then we'll in continuity say that Houdini did it instead. What? Why am I reading Spawn anymore? I gotta quit. Like,
yeah, that's basically it. You summed it up.
I mean, yeah, Medieval Spawn, great design. I love Medieval Spawn. It was awesome. But anyway, we're talking about Batman.
Yeah, I know, right? We got totally off topic.
But by the way, what did you think of Azrael Batman's costume, Batman 500, the first one? The first new Batman costume?
Well, you mean back in the day or the new one they're just showing off now?
Well, the new one, yeah. Or no, I mean the one back in the day. Like, it debuts, Joe Quesada's cover, gold, bald shoulder pads.
Oh, I mean, in the 90s, I thought it was fucking sick as hell. Then I grew up and I'm like, this is horribly busy and over-designed and perfectly symptomatic of everything that was wrong with the aesthetic of that time.
Yes. It was...
To where I've almost come around and I'm ironically enjoy it now because it's so horrible.
No, I agree. I thought it was sick as hell as well. I was like, they closed the mouth. Holy shit, that's amazing. Then they give him like the arm spiky things, but on the legs. And then the cape feeds into this cool like widow's peak on his chest. There's a spotlight on his chest for some reason.
Also knife fingers.
They also dropped the trunks.
Yeah.
And a lot of it rocked until you realize it's a joke and making fun of like Image.
That's what Quesada says now. I don't know if that was actually true back when he did it.
No, I think Nightfall and the decision to make Azrael into Batman was, that was like Denny O'Neil and stuff being like, no, you don't want us to change Batman. Like, they're basically saying, and then Kingdom Come was like the distillation of everyone's opinion at DC about Image and stuff, but they're like, no, you don't want Batman to go away and be a killer and be like those monsters over there on the other side of the pond. It would be shitty. See? And then everyone bought it and they're like, no, stop buying it.
Stop justifying this.
It's not cool. But yeah, I loved how it was just we can rebuild him. We can just give him all this genetic distilled 90s, and then I could take more, and then he just gets bigger, and his helmet gets more complicated, and then he becomes like more red. And the thing about that is every subsequent redesign from Batman 500's costume until Jean-Paul Valley just throws it away is garbage.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that it's basically Azrael subconsciously becoming Azrael again.
Yeah, like even as Batman, it's bleeding through, which is funny because the OG Azrael costume, like the Sword of Azrael, it's a pretty cool costume.
I love it. I love that design. But I also only love it when Quesada draws it.
Yeah, it's a shame he kind of sucked as a character back then, but it's a cool look, though.
Cool look, rad. Cool, no, it's a badass look. The book itself is also kind of boring.
In many ways, Azrael was like the Red Hood of his day. He looked so cool, you tricked yourself into thinking he was actually worth reading about.
Yeah, agreed. But
although I like they brought him back now and kind of made him like a sad sack in Detective Comics. He keeps getting beaten up. He keeps trying to do good, but he can't.
Yeah.
And again, they're threatening he's going to become the Bat Azrael again, and they've given him a new redesigned costume that actually looks pretty okay.
Yeah, it's a blend of the shitty like last version, but plus the stuff you liked. I'm down.
All the good stuff.
I guarantee it's only like one issue, and it's only...
Oh, it's going to be for this story, and then he's going to get back to himself and be like, man, why am I wearing that?
Well, it's going to be like he goes, well, I was not effective as Azrael, but maybe I could be more effective as Batman, or like, the only time I was ever... It's like Batman saying Superman, like, the only time you were inspirational is when you died. And it's like, the only time I was ever effective was when I was pretending to be Batman. Yeah. Maybe I'll try to do that again.
I'll be Bat-Riel.
Yeah, but don't redesign things that work. Batman's suit, you make a few changes and it looks wrong, and you can really tell it just doesn't
work. Ever so briefly after Batman 89 in the Troika storyline, he was all black like in the movie.
All black, and they dropped the trunks.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It looked weird.
Didn't stick, did it? Because it didn't feel right.
Didn't stick until now. I mean,
until now.
Well, I mean, even now it's different. But I'm in the minority about how I don't like the suit. But I think it's too much color.
You don't like the orange. You don't like the purple on the cape.
I don't like the orange. I don't like that piping yellow or whatever it's supposed to be, and I don't like the purple. It's too much color for Batman.
I like a lot of the ideas. I like they're trying to be evocative of the classic yellow on the outside. Again, I like they're trying to pay homage to the purple gloves back in the day.
Yeah, I get what they're doing. I'm just not on board.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
But we've also had it so long, too. Now I'm like, well, that's just how Batman looks now. If he looked any other way, it would be weird.
Oh, I know. No, it's true.
Although you would figure he's about due for maybe another costume redesign, because, I mean, Superman got a new one. Wonder Woman kind of went back to her old one, or at least they ditched the Azarella one that was all red and silver to go back to being red and gold. I wonder if he's about due for a redesign.
I mean, I think that if anything, after Dark Days, whatever the crap, after this Dark Crisis Batman story happens, I feel like Batman's gonna have to go back to his old ways. He'll be like, oh, I can't. I have to be me again.
That's interesting. We'll put $5 on that. We'll put a Coke bet on that.
Yeah.
See if at the end of it he goes and changes his costume.
Yeah.
I mean, usually a costume change should be an important moment, right, in the story. It should be
pivotal,
like a major turning point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really. Do you have an example for that?
I mean, well, obviously when Batman came back from the dead and shit and Finch drew it, it's like, oh, Batman's back and it's a brand new costume.
Yeah. It was fine.
It was that's just the last one I can remember.
Yeah.
Or again, even when Batman came back from the dead and Gordon was doing it, and it's like, oh, I'm back and I have a brand new costume now.
That's funny. I love the Gordon suit in the RoboCop armor.
Oh yeah, that's a really good design.
I think that looks tight. I mean, it's barely a design. It's just a black suit with the big yellow bat, but like it still rocks. You know why it rocks? Because it looks like a Batman Beyond design, and that is amazing.
Batman Beyond, also a good redesign. Also one they kind of fucked up for a little bit too. I think they've changed him around now to where he looks like Batman 2099, and I'm not okay with that.
It's really stupid. Like, it's funny how if you just make the slightest tweak, it looks weird. Yeah. Like, it just looks bad. Like, give him red eyes and it suddenly doesn't work.
No, it really
Batman
doesn't.
Beyond redesign, you've got it. It works. It's literally designed with the intention of being simplistic and streamlined. It's supposed to be iconic and obvious and easy to understand.
Future, damn it.
Yeah. Well, it's also like I'm making like Bruce Timm redesigned all that Batman stuff so that it could be easier to animate and quicker to draw. Batman Beyond, it's a black silhouette with one color. Move on, like stop. But they keep changing it.
Another perfect example about how changing one color can ruin everything. Red Nightwing from New 52.
Yeah, with blue. No, we make it red. Everyone's like, I'm out. No, I don't like that.
Because it's the New 52. Everything's darker and meaner and more in your face and blue. Who wants blue?
Yeah, not me.
And some people defended the red for so long. I'm like, no, he looks like a bad guy.
He looked like a bad guy. The red and black looks like a bad guy. My one of my rival school's colors were red and black, and I was like, that looks so cool. And also, they're evil.
That's the bad guy color scheme.
Hey, here's a design that I know you're going to be upset about. I saw it on a lot of lists. I was like, what? Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern costume.
I like that one.
Everybody I know loves that costume. And you know what? It just occurred to me right now. He's the only one who had a different costume than everybody else. Like,
it's true.
He didn't get a regular Green Lantern costume. What the hell?
Yeah, he's unique. He's doing his own thing. Maybe that's why people hated it. Maybe it's like a bunch of Green Lantern purists being like, who's this young freaking upstart coming in with his own costume and his own bullshit and his own big mask?
Yeah. I always liked Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern costume.
You know exactly who it is, even from silhouette. That's the mark of a good costume, where even from silhouette, you know who it is.
That's really it. Like, if the silhouette works, then you've got something iconic. Just don't overcomplicate it with too many colors or with a muddy design. Like, don't.
And they've kind of toned him down over the years. They've kind of streamlined his costume and made him look more like a classic Green Lantern, but he still has like a couple extra buckles and buttons and everything to remind you, like, hey, this is how I used to look.
Yeah. Hey, apropos like horrible redesigns, did you read Dark Knight 3: The Master Race? What'd you think of Batwoman or Batgirl?
I read halfway into it, but yeah, the new Carrie Kelly.
Woof.
I see what you were going for.
I don't. Why is it purple and green?
Because those are girly colors, Sal, is what I'm sure Frank Miller and Azzarello would say.
They are complementary colors, but damn it. That's all I can say is just, damn. Now,
what's worse, that or her Catgirl costume?
What's amazing about the Catgirl costume is that it kept changing. It's two costumes. There's one where it's like a kind of like a leopard print, and then there's another one where it's gray, and you're like, what? Are there two costumes, or are you just covering her in shadow in one of them? Like, it's really weird. I think it's exactly as bad. Like, it carries the noble tradition of horribly ruining Carrie Kelly's like individuality.
Yep. Another thing about redesigns, what about our good buddy the Scarlet Spider and his sleeveless hoodie?
Here's the thing, I always hated Scarlet Spider's costume. And then Peter David and Mark Bagley made that other Scarlet Spider costume
where he looked kind of like a cobra.
Oh, wow. That with the hood and it's just a full suit, that sucked. That's
I think people got so angry they changed it back. Like, that must have been some real rage. I couldn't bring myself to care enough.
No, and they brought it back to the 90s one. I'm like, he made that costume out of garbage. Like, he stole a hoodie and he just drew because it was in a pinch. He didn't. That's not a costume. That's a holding pattern. I never liked it, but then again,
you're another super hobo.
I didn't really like the new Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume where it's like the shooters on the outside,
bigger legs and the belt and all the other stuff.
I mean, like, I think it works. It's just that I don't prefer it.
Some people definitely like it. I know some people who are all about it.
Oh yeah, they're called Ben Reilly fans.
Yeah. Heck, I like the Iron Spider suit. I don't think it has much of a place in the main continuity, but for the time it existed, I thought it was a cool picture.
When it first came out, I hated it. When it divorced from the story, I kind of dig it. To the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool.
The last time we saw it, MJ put it on to help the heroes fight Region. I'm like, that's fucking dope.
Yeah, no, it's a cool design, and I especially liked it when it was in the Initiative, when it was like the Iron Spider Squad, where Tony Stark's like, you don't want it? I'll give it to a bunch of cool S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and emulate your powers and F you. And I'm like, that's a neat idea. I like the Iron Spiders.
Swingers, but slightly better.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
Aren't the Swingers coming back in Scarlet
Slingers, and yes, man, I didn't like any of those.
Our buddy Thorgy actually really liked the Slingers. He's like, man, if the Slingers were created today, they would have had a chance.
No! Screw the Slingers. They suck.
The best thing they did with the Slingers is they took a bunch of their identities and power sets and gave them to the Enforcers in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon.
Did they really?
They did. They had, Fancy Dan became Ricochet.
In the cartoon?
In the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, there was a whole bit where, because remember, Montana was Shocker in that show,
yes,
but they still had the two other Enforcers, Fancy Dan and Ox, and so they gave them suits and gave them powers, and it's like, hey, here's these spare Slinger suits and identities, have at them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea.
That's a really good idea. That was a good episode.
Yeah. Hawkeye had horrible costumes.
He had many horrible costumes.
And what's funny is, like, even the regular Hawkeye costume isn't fantastic, but I like it. I never complained about the purple Hawkeye costume.
Never had a problem with it either.
And then he kept changing it, and it never got any better, so it made the old Hawkeye costume even more better, like even more iconic.
You had nostalgia for it, to think he's probably the best dressed he's ever been right now, with just t-shirt, some paramilitary stuff, sunglasses.
Yeah, I like it, but I miss the old Hawkeye costume.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't had there's two costumes we haven't talked about yet. I want to get these out of the way before we wrap up / hit up some other ones. But Sue Storm's Fantastic Four boob window.
What the fuck were you thinking?
This is like the anti-Power Girl, because like we spent like 5 minutes justifying the Power Girl boob window, and the justification for it, and Kara's like whole approach. Sue Storm's boob window, Invisible Woman costume, just made for shock value.
Yeah, and it also totally doesn't work, because we know Sue as a character and we like Sue. She is the mother of the first family. Don't do that to Comic Mom.
Now, that said, I seem to remember from that issue that she kind of designed it... Okay, no. She doesn't design it for this reason, but it kind of becomes this reason. But I like the idea of justifying her designing it being like, I'm being marginalized, no one is noticing me. I want to see if this is what gets people to notice me, because if it works, then you're all a bunch of fuckers. Like,
yeah. I mean, if they wrote a good reason for what's worse, that or her Goblin Queen costume?
The Goblin Queen costume is horrible. It's exactly as terrible as the Goblin Queen costume is just overall just bad. It doesn't have any roots in good. But the Fantastic Four boob window Sue Storm costume, or Susan Richards costume, is the worst because it besmirches the Fantastic Four costume.
I agree. I mean, the Fantastic Four costumes work because they're so clean and streamlined and good.
Yeah, and then
blue and white. And
then she made this thing. But that's funny because all the Fantastic Four went through a horrible redesign. All of them got jackets.
Yes, that's the new hip thing.
Including Johnny, so it must mean that he's wearing a jacket made of unstable molecules because it burned. Even Reed literally wore the same costume, but he also had a utility belt and a stupid jacket. Actually, I think he had like a vest. But
the Ultimate Fantastic Four looked pretty stupid too.
Yeah. And the Thing had his face marred by Wolverine's adamantium claws, so he wore this dumb helmet he found.
Yeah, not a great era.
No. Embarrassing.
You know what else was a bad costume, now that we're talking about Marvel? Remember when Magneto went good for a little bit and he had that purple thing with just a big M?
Just a big M! And he had he kept his cape, but he had like, yeah, I do remember that. It's funny when you start to get into the X-Men. You're like, when you were like, oh, I found the X-Men, and then you go back and you read some old stuff, or you jump in the middle, you just grab anything, and they're wearing whatever, and you're like, what the crap?
We could easily have done this whole episode just on bad X-Men costumes.
Big time.
Remember when Bendis made a big deal about redesigning Dazzler? Like, I'm redesigning Dazzler. It's going to be a big deal. It's like not even a C plot in a story. She goes through something really traumatic, and then she starts dressing like a riot girl with, like, torn pantyhose and like a black mohawk and piercings and everything. And then no one in the story actually pays attention to her or makes reference to it ever again.
Yep, I do remember.
That was pretty shitty. And then
pretty shitty.
And I'm pretty sure she just went back to being normal Dazzler again.
Well, I think they redesigned her again, and they made her look like Comic Book Girl 19.
Did they really? Did I miss that? I only remember when it was Avenger or X-Men versus Inhumans, and she defeats Black Bolt.
Check out. Oh my god, that's right. That would work. Check out.
And she was back to being normal there.
Check out Secret Wars as A-Force. Just Google that.
Okay.
And you'll get CBG 19 as Dazzler, which is hilarious because Dazzler's also her favorite character. So it's like, oh, was that on purpose?
It's also not the last time we'd see Comic Book Girl 19 in the comics, because if you remember,
she's Danica in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, and Spider-Man 2099's Landlord looked just like her too.
Really? Damn it!
Yes. So she showed up a bunch.
That's weird. Well, hey, somebody in a Valiant comic is reading a ComicPOP magazine, so we're getting there.
Really? You're going to have to show me that. That's pretty awesome.
I don't know what issue, so it's gone.
Hey, at least it's a complimentary one. I know there's a podcast out there. I think they're connected with Comic Vine. Who are they again? Oh God, sorry, I'm blanking on that. They follow me on Twitter. No. They're actually pretty good guys. They follow me on Twitter. They're pretty good. But I remember there was a bit where it's like a plane was crashing and one of the guys on the plane was wearing their shirt, and it's like, oh, either he's a big fan or the writer or artist was trying to kill you.
Yeah. I will say, what's it called? Comic Book Club. Those guys have all been in a couple of comics.
Lucky.
But yeah. Oh, right. Superman, when he's blue. Let's talk about that for a minute, because we have different opinions, and I think it'd be a great way to kind of wrap it up.
You see, here's the thing. I think the story of Red and Blue Electric Superman is completely dumb and, completely not good. Costumes themselves are pretty good. I mean, not for Superman, but they're pretty good.
That's the thing. And for me, it's like, first of all, too much happened to Superman in too brief a window. Sure. And so when they did change the costume, I was like, didn't you just change everything about Superman? Like, you're going to change his powers and his whole thing and his suit. And by the way, it worked in as much as it was a great big stunt and it got a lot of attention, a lot of media attention. The DC kind of went the Marvel route before Marvel started doing that, where they were like, hey, let's leak our big change to actual periodical outlets and tell them what we're going to do and give them exclusive art and stuff. And then they'll go Superman's changing, but it also was Superman.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that Superman is an icon. He's had an iconic suit that has gone through many changes over the years, but they're all pretty similar. The Superman the Rebirth Superman design is, I think, shades of the legitimate evolution of the costume over time.
Absolutely.
But that Superman blue costume is what are you trying to do?
My thing about it is I always get a little smile and a little chuckle to myself whenever those costumes come back for a second. Usually in the background of scenes or his unlockable skins in video games. We're remember those?
That's fun. I like throwing it back to it. But at the same, and then there's we'll get into that in a minute. But with Superman Blue, you changed everything that Superman was to the point where, why didn't you just create a new character?
Yeah, I mean,
watching Superman struggle, where he's the green kryptonite doesn't affect me anymore, but I'm susceptible to this. Who you just didn't want to write Superman anymore. You just didn't want to, because that's not who Superman is. This look, these powers, that whole thing was not Superman. And so even if it was the best redesign possible, it wouldn't have worked because it wasn't Superman. That said, Go ahead, sorry.
Or no, go ahead. I was
going
going
to
to say, finish your thought because I was going to transition to something because I just realized something.
I was going to say, solid live wire costume.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it just doesn't work. It's not iconic. When you see it, when Grant Morrison took over JLA and fixed it, yes, and you had to endure Electric Blue Superman during this period when Grant Morrison is like cutting himself every day that he knows he has to use that goddamn version.
He did keep the mullet, though.
Yeah, well, the mullet
is at the time.
The mullet is cosmetic and it's reflective of the time. It sucks. I don't like it, but everyone had a mullet. Spider-Man had a mullet. Superman had a mullet. Dick Grayson
Bono had a mullet.
Who?
I said Bono had a mullet.
Bono's real.
Yeah. Is he though, Sal? Is he really?
Yeah, he's real, all right. Real lame.
Business in front, party in back.
Damn it. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, while we're on the subject of Superman, the chat reminded me, and this is just way too perfect because I'm wearing the goddamn shirt right now.
Yeah!
Remember, in DCU, he cut his hair short, basically like mine, wore jeans, and just went back to, faster than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings, and they took away all his really amazing powers.
Yeah.
I like the kind of throwback. It's like when sports teams have throwback jersey day. Superman was just having a throwback logo day.
Right, and that's the thing is that it doesn't work because he doesn't even know what that logo is because it didn't exist in the New 52.
Hey, remember the shit I wore in the 40s? This is pretty good.
No, I don't because I'm from the fucking New 52 universe, you jackass.
As the chat is saying, he became Joel. Yes, that's what happened. He became.
Yeah, you should be like, yo, I'm Superman truthing it.
That was the thing. I didn't have the right type of jeans, but when we were in Seattle, and obviously I was fading it up back then, I'm like, dude, if I just wrap some cape stuff around my hands, that'll be my lazy cosplay
right?
for the week.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Rebirth Superman. I didn't last very long.
Dude, you gotta rock that at New York Comic Con. You just sport that. You're like just straight up cosplay as Rebirth as this true Superman.
Hey, remember that storyline? I drove around on a motorcycle for a little bit. It was cool.
Yeah, that was rough. Man, Greg Pak,
Vandal Savage or something.
Greg Pak has ideas. That's all I'll say about that.
Sure does.
Some of them are interesting.
They are.
Anyway, that about wraps up our in-depth chat about the worst costumes.
I have one last one because this one always falls through the cracks of this one. Remember during the Crossing era when War Machine got a really dumb demon suit with skulls and spikes?
I do not.
It was an alien costume that was given to him. They were basically ripping off Exo Manowar is what they were doing.
Wow! Why?
No clue. We'd have to ask someone. But yeah, it's basically just like, hey, what if frickin' Rhodes had a big dumb war machine? What did they call it? They called it like the War Matrix or the War something or other. Warware. That's what they called it.
Warware? Damn it.
Seemingly killed during Onslaught, Rhodes gave up the Warware suit by sacrificing it to erase all information about Iron Man technology from the Stark Enterprises servers.
There you go. Eidolon Warware, adapted to environmental conditions and possible dangers like sealing against the vacuum of space. Its main firepower was plasma-based.
Yeah.
Boo. By the way, there's a ton of bad Iron Man armor. There's also a ton of great Iron Man armor.
Like, remember the nose armor?
Yeah, which was apparently just a mistake. The artist just drew it wrong. Like, it was supposed to be a shade or something like that, and it was just a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be a nose.
One last one because it's Green Arrow connected. Black Canary had a really ugly Flashdance inspired costume.
Yes, it was horrible.
It was, and I love that the writers and creators knew it was terrible because there's a great cover of her back in her classic OG gear, like setting it on fire.
Yeah. That's I wish they did more like overt. We're all on the same page here, right? That sucks. Kind of references in comics.
At least, what is it? Lee did that when he talked about the collars for New 52. What was I thinking?
I do appreciate that because those collars are stupid.
Thanks for being self-aware, Jim Lee.
And thank you, Time, for being on my side with that one. New 52, Jim Lee's drawings. I'm like, those collars are dumb. Why does everyone have them? And everyone was like, fuck you, Corell. You don't know anything. Like, these collars are forever. And I'm like, how about 4 years?
They were like about 4 years, give or take a couple months.
But, yeah. So as you can see, this is a well-staffed topic. We could probably draw upon the 80 years of comic book history to really get into it. But you know what? I think we really got into it in a big bad way. So.
Oh shit! We didn't even talk about Nomad. I've talked about Nomad a lot now.
Oh yeah, Nomad. Yeah. No, there's rare. I don't think there was a single good Nomad costume.
No.
And also, I hate Red Robin. So, with that said,
that's right. You hate the vulture wings.
I hate them all. I when it debuted in Kingdom Come, I'm like, that sucks. And then they brought it out, and Tim Drake's like, I'm Red Robin now. I'm like, that sucks. And then they gave him wings. I'm like, that still sucks.
But he's got a bandana around his face. He's like Iron Fist, basically. Danny looks across the universe and goes, hey, he stole my hat.
Yeah. Why? Though. Why? But, hey, before you go, everybody, don't forget to swing by podcastawards.com and vote for this show. We're all up for it. The weekly poll, The Poll, which is an underrated and terrific conversation. Check out The Poll, and also, of course, vote for it. And the Elseworlds Exchange. We're all up for our own individual categories, so we're not competing with each other. So definitely give us a vote, because we could really appreciate it.
You can do so to the end of this month, I should preface it.
July 30th, it ends. So definitely go over there and give us a vote. Cost you nothing. And, of course, we really appreciate it. It's in the description box below this video, so go check it out. And, of course, if you're listening to the audio version, go to our website and find it out. Because that's all I can help you out with. Danielle is, of course, in the chat right now, giving you the link. Use it. And,
thank you, Danielle.
So, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us and listening to us yammer on about objectively terrible costumes.
Yep.
What's happening on Cape Joel? Everybody can check out.
Well, you can listen to the newest episode of the Comic Multiverse that I did with Matt. I'll, of course, have all sorts of reviews coming out today for all the biggest books that dropped. Batman number 27, Secret Empire number 6, got all of that. Cool.
Well, today on Back Issues, you can hang out with us and watch again, because it'll be out in about probably 30 minutes or so. Go watch it. It'll be on an epic Marvel event that has the same name as an epic Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that's coming out very soon. So, with that in mind, we'll see you guys next time with another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
I'm Joel.
And we'll see you later. Bye.